Let me ask you this. John W. Henry, I think in an email exchange, as far as I gather, with somebody at the Boston Sports Journal over in Massachusetts, made it clear that, no, Liverpool, for one, is not for sale. So John W. Henry would not be tempted to expand much more on that, but it was interesting. In this series of emails, I'll tell you what he said to the fella at the other end of them at the Boston Sports Journal. John W. Henry, Liverpool, of course, in action tonight against Real Madrid. He says, I know there's been a lot of conversation and quotes about Liverpool, but I keep to the facts. We merely formalised an ongoing process. Will we be in England forever? No. Are we selling Liverpool? No. Are we talking with investors about Liverpool? Yes. Will something happen? I believe it will, but it won't be a sale. Have we sold anything in the past 20 plus years? So he's staving off any talk that they're about to sell the football club lock, stock and barrel.
Yep.
Does that convince you that they're not going to do that?
Well, I don't think the timing is right to sell Liverpool when Manchester United are in play, because that makes you the second story in the financial world of buying football clubs, because Man United will be the top story. So you don't want to be sitting there trying to compete for space and a place on the financial landscape of people potentially wanting to buy your football club when Man United are in play. Now, I realise there might be different buyers and there's different valuations, but Liverpool will see themselves as an elite legacy football club and not necessarily want to be coming in the shadow at the same time as Man United. Also, you know, John Henry's being relatively specific. Everything is for sale, Jim, if someone wants to pay a price which is greater than the value that someone has of it in the first place. But is it actively for sale? I think they've been clear for some time about the fact they want investment. They wanted investment, and they did some investment rounds when they sold some of the equity and their media rights to Redbird, the private equity firm. So they started that passage about a year ago.
Well, they did. The sales brochure went out. You remember, circulated to potential interested parties, and Goldman Sachs and Morgan Stanley were involved.
Yeah. Now, was that a sales document or was it an investment document? Because I would suggest to you it's probably an investment document.
It was called a sales brochure.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it doesn't mean it's the business of a sale. It means it's advertising the product in terms of what they might want to achieve, which means they might want investment. So it will go under the moniker of a sales brochure because it's positioning it in such a way that it makes it, you know, appealing to those that might want to invest. And of course, if we want to conflate that up to the fact that the entirety of Liverpool was for sale, then, you know, they might have wanted to put their feet in the water and seen how cold or warm it was. But I don't think there's anything wrong with John Henry making a clear position about one of his assets or one of Fenway's assets and their current position. And I think there's a lot to do with the timing of the disposal of Manchester United, a lot to do with their blueprint of what they do as a matter of course. And he's pointed us to the fact they don't sell many things. And I don't suspect that Liverpool are at the right stage and at the right time to be sold for the optimum value. So take some investment in, kick it on another gear, go back round again and come back when the marketplace and Liverpool's performances, both on and off the field, are slightly better.
I can understand why our friends at Boston Sports Journal are asking the question.
Of course.
Because they're watching from the other side of the pond at what's going on with Manchester United, and they're thinking, hang on, we've got the Red Sox right in our doorstep here. Who owns them, Henry? Is he going to sell Liverpool?
Yeah, of course. And, you know, of course, the sentiment around English Premier League football, I mean, we've just seen an English Premier League football club sold for $2.5 billion, different circumstances. We've then seen our friends the Glazers being courted by the Rain Group, led to believe they can get £7 billion, and of course they'll be prepared to sell it to anyone that's going to give them that kind of dough without sentiment or fear or favour. The Glazers will sell to whoever will write the biggest cheque, and if the biggest cheque isn't available, they'll continue with what they've got. And this idea, I was reading Henry Winter's column today about that they won't build a stadium for £1 billion or they won't do this. Nonsense. They'll do all of that because they'll just borrow money to do it, and they'll fund it against the development opportunities that the stadium will bring. So it's silly arguments that get advanced in some of the sections of the newspapers. But the bottom line is, if the Glazers get the right price, they'll be sold. And at some point, if Liverpool, because Liverpool, as he says, will we be in England forever? No. So he's giving you the indication that at some point Liverpool are going to be sold, but the timing of it right now is better served in an investment criteria so we can kick on to the next level, put our best foot forward and come back round the houses and ask for $5 billion.
I agree, but to quote you, Simon, it's a bit riddle me this, riddle me that, is it not? I mean...
No, not really. I think
he says, will we be in England forever? No. Are we selling Liverpool Football Club? No. But are we talking with investors about Liverpool Football Club? Yes.
But I think these are all statements of fact. I don't think there's anything riddle about this. There's nothing wrapped up in an enigma that we can't follow. He's asked specific questions. Will we be in England forever? No, we won't. We won't own this football club forever. Clear.
No,
right?
but you always say minority investment can lead to something bigger.
Well, yeah, but not necessarily at this level, and not necessarily at this level of football club and the way these football clubs are structured in this way. And other people's minority investments in Man United and other football clubs haven't always lent themselves to that. But when you're talking about a minority investment in, say, West Ham, you know that there's a distinct possibility for a £150 million investment on a football club that's worth 600 or 700 million. It's likely, if the guy's well heeled enough, that he's going to end up taking out the incumbent owners. When you're talking about football clubs like Liverpool that are structured in such a way that the actual scale of the purchase will always detail that very few people are going to be able to walk in, rock in on their own and buy a football club. Not even Jim Radcliffe's looking to suggest he's going to go in and buy Man United on his own. It's only Qatari and nation-state money or Middle Eastern money that's going to rock in and do these things on their own. And at this moment in time, that's not the direction of Liverpool going in. I think there's absolute clarity in what he's saying. It's clear, specific, explicit. He hasn't said, well, I'm not doing this and I'm not doing that. He's told you what he's doing. I'm not selling it. I'm not going to be here forever. But by the way, I'm taking investment in the meantime.
Yeah. If the Qataris get their hands on Manchester United, Simon, and we know them, we were there. We know they've got the deepest of deep pockets, right? Is there a chance here the likes of Liverpool and Tottenham might be left behind?
Well, if the independent regulator that the football so richly deserves now, because it won't attend to its own issues, comes into play, it'll close some of those challenges that are available for football clubs that are concerned by the nature of someone coming in with economic might that will be uncontrollable. Look, the bottom line is that the Premier League and the Big Six are unique in their positioning in world football. Even the Tottenhams of the world, even those football clubs now that people rail against and castigate Daniel Levy and forget what was happening to Tottenham 25 years ago, who were a mid-range football team that barely pay their bills. They're now in the best stadium in the world, and all Daniel Levy needs to do is stop impersonating Uriah Heep and maybe get a few quid out of his pocket and push him a little bit further forward. But the point is that I don't think so. I think that,
Daniel said the other day it's difficult to compete with them.
Well, Daniel also said that there's a bigger project in hand and it's going to be more than the football clubs. There's a variety of things that Daniel said. But the point is that I don't think that United... The problem is with the Premier League is what would they rather have happen with this Qatari money? Because I do think if they really are selling it, if there really is a sale process that Glazers want to be involved in, and all this puff and stuff about who's going to want what and how this is going to happen and this, that and the other, and again, going back to Henry's piece, well, how can you have a Qatari ownership that are going to come from a country that don't respect LGBT rights? But Man United doesn't operate in that country, it operates in England. So they'll respect the laws of this country in the same way that we would respect the laws of their country.
Sure.
Or have to by the very nature of it. So all that background noise is rubbish.
Yeah.
If the Qataris are prepared to write out a cheque, and the indicative offer position is really simple. When I was selling one of my businesses years and years ago, the first offers I got were for 40 million quid. Right, that got them in the door. Their price that ended up was nearly 100 million quid. So the indicative offer gives you clarity of someone's seriousness, and they prove up a raft of money.
The first offer you got was 40 million.
Yeah.
You ended up selling for 100.
Yeah, best part of, yeah. So the bottom line is indicative bids give you the clarity of the fact you've got the dough to be able to do it, and you prove up funds. So that fact that they're millions, billions off what Man United want for the football club does not mean that they won't then get to the point where actually it ratchets up, competitive tension makes everyone bid against one another, and you end up at the price that the Glazers think they're entitled to.
Yeah. Remind me never to buy a house from you.